Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Portland Open presented by Dynamic Discs. I'm Madison Walker.
And I'm Erika Stinchcomb.
We're the two hot geese. Honk, this is round 2. It is a huge course out here. Yesterday we had really nice calm conditions. Today was quite different. It was so windy out there. Changed the whole way you play the game on this course, but we get to watch Paige Pierce, Catrina Allen, Hailey King, and Jessica Weese attack in these raging winds.
Yeah, Paige and Catrina really came out swinging with a 9 down. That's actually better than the FPO field. I think 8 down was the hot score for them. Of course, we are playing a shorter course, but dang.
Yeah, hot round. It's not an understatement.
Yeah.
Hole 1, it's a par 4. It's 540 feet with an elevated tee pad. There's some trouble right here in the beginning. If you hit the branches that create kind of a low ceiling that force you to throw nose down off the tee, there's an out-of-bounds sidewalk on the left if you hyzer out early. And the basket's back here pinched a little bit towards out of bounds.
First up on the tee,
yeah, this was kind of like a head left to right kind of a crosswind deal.
And it was brisk.
Yeah, I didn't look up the like actual miles per hour.
Plastic.
It was
Did 10,
when the flag is flapping, apparently it's at minimum 15, and it wasn't quite all the way out to the side, but it was definitely enough that you were thinking about it on the tee.
And we didn't have any wind in practice either, so it's kind of throwing from these elevated pins that really maximize your mistake here. This is so common what Paige just did, and that looks like she even disked down to
Something
maybe
slower.
a buzz or something. And it still turned way too much.
It also got that little lift and hit those low-hanging branches that you want to avoid. Since we're all throwing an Anheuser shot off the tee here and trying to kind of highlight that angle, maybe with something overstable and let it finish out, we're showing the underside of our disc to that wind. And, you know, anything can happen if you don't have something stable enough. So this shot is all about trust and really relying on your disc to do what you want it to do, even in a crosswind.
Yeah, and that's Kat's M2 and perfect trust. She didn't get super far off the tee, but it doesn't really matter. She's right in the center and will have a pretty routine upshot. A little scary, but not too bad for her birdie.
Yeah, once you get down there into the flat off this elevated tee pad, the wind is not as bad. It was still there, but it wasn't as much as it was as when we're up high on this tee pad.
Hailey, similar mistake to Paige, but a much more stable disc that fights out of it. So she's actually in a really great spot. I thought it was going to keep turning.
She's sponsored by
Hailey and Jessica Weese both also very well under par. I really thought yesterday the hot round would be like 6 under. Hailey found some trouble. She could have easily been in that 9 under club, so it'll be interesting to see how she, capitalizes on her opportunities today and see if she fixes some of those mistakes. And Jessica Weese with the forehand and the backhand.
This is kind of like the ultra safe move. It definitely is more nose up than you want ever on this shot.
There's a super weird alley over there, not that I know from personal experience, but there's like a lot of power lines in the way and a lot of strange gaps. This is actually pretty open for Paige.
From a knee, she's probably, if I had to guess, 300 feet away. Doesn't quite get all the power on it, not surprising.
Just outside the circle, though, not bad from there.
We haven't seen her throw a ton of sidearms lately. At De La, obviously, you are forced to, so we watched some of that on that course, but
there really aren't a lot that you need to throw out here either, so no. That was a beautiful upshot from Catrina. She really dissected this hole super well. Easy birdie.
You're not lying about the power line.
Yeah, they were like right in my way. They both had pretty decent windows. And Jessica, got to about 22 feet, it looks like, even clipping some branches there, so great shot from her. And wow, Hailey's got way down here.
Yeah,
140 feet to go.
That's crazy. Oh.
And probably fine.
Really trusting that disc.
Yeah.
Playing the skip off the sidewalk, no big deal with the zone.
Leaves herself a little bit of a tester. Oh, Paige must have a branch. Yeah, right in the way. Super wide straddle. Probably like an Anheuser bid. Full layout, good effort, but we'll have to settle for the par, which really doesn't feel great.
No.
The front 9 is definitely the more attackable. You're trying to really pad yourself with those birdies because the back 9 in this wind is going to be a monster.
Jess looks like she had a little flub up with her hand maybe. It's a pretty strong headwind, and it's always scary to putt in the headwind, especially on hole 1.
It looked like she barely threw it, and then the wind just took it straight right.
I'm laughing because I said once we got down here in the flat, you wouldn't be able to feel the wind, and like it is absolutely screaming.
And there it is.
The Jomez flags are flapping.
That was a great conversion from Hailey. She had a little bit more of a tailwind, which a lot of people prefer to headwind putting.
Catrina for her birdie. Oh no. Trying to keep it nose down in the wind, and it highlighted that angle out of her hand, even on the short putts.
I'm sure she'll clean it up. She missed, I think, all of 1 putts yesterday. She's been putting so well. Hole 2 is a par 4. You have a couple gaps. This is the Anheuser gap that the drone is flying through. There's also kind of a hyzer that might take off a little bit of distance, and then the basket is sitting in this pretty little grove of trees. There's really no out of bounds to speak of. As long as you get out of the gap, you have a really good chance for your birdie.
The wind was, again, whipping pretty hard here. It makes that Anheuser gap a lot scarier. It makes it feel a lot tighter because it was a left to right cross / headwind, and it forces your disc up into those branches. And
just like that.
Yep, it's a low ceiling shot already. It's already a little bit scary, but then playing with that wind too adds a little extra element.
And this carries really straight off the tee. She's kind of in a hole 14's fairway almost.
Yeah, everyone that I watched throw the hyzer on this hole, choosing that route, the wind pushed way right. And, I mean, it was carrying disc, especially if the underside showed at all. It was carrying disc so far right that it was almost eliminating their second shot or making it a lot more difficult by putting it in those tree lines. Catrina must have a really stable disc, or she kept that hyzer angle the entire way. Did not get affected by the wind at all.
Yeah, what wind?
What wind?
And everybody opting for that hyzer gap.
Jess throwing probably a flippier disc like she normally does. It flips a little bit, a little low, and the wind puts it right down.
Yeah, Hailey and Jess are going to have quite a long way to get there for their birdie, like 400 maybe.
Yeah, it's not really, at this point, it's not really attainable for most of the women on this card, even with them being absolute crushers.
Yeah.
Jess opting for the sidearm, probably just playing for par at this point.
I don't know.
Oh,
no, you're right. She'll have a just outside circle 2 bid, but those trees can definitely impede your putt.
Catrina going for the green, gets a little turn at the end, probably again from that wind, but she'll have a window on the back side of the green.
Yeah, she might be forced to do some kind of a straddle back there, but not a bad shot. And Paige breaking out the sidearm again.
Even though she was way right, she got further down there than I expected. The fact that she only had to throw a sidearm to get the distance to get to the green is surprising to me. I thought she was more straight.
Little pitch up from Hailey. Yeah, everybody's kind of struggling with these trees here. Not surprising, they're all like equally spaced, guarding the basket. And Anheuser run from Jess. She'll have to settle for the par.
Only 2 birdies on the day from the FPO field.
And we're going to see so much crazy wind action today.
Yeah, so many elevators.
Everyone on my card had at least one like unbelievable wind bounce.
This is Catrina for her birdie.
Ah.
Yep. Congrats to Sai Ananda and Juliana Corver for finding the threes out here. They had to have been long putts. They had to have been. Nice par save by Hailey with the straddle. And we'll watch these ladies tap out their pars as we move on to hole 3. It's a par 4. It's 576 feet. Another gap we have to hit through a bunch of really big trees. There's a hyzer and an anhyzer route, again, to choose from, but most people are going to be choosing the hyzer route, just trying to get down here in the middle and have a pitch up to this basket that's on a elevated green. There's an out-of-bounds sidewalk back and to the left if you catch any unfortunate rolls. No trouble on the right-hand side, but that second shot is steeply uphill, and in the wind, crazy stuff was happening, at least on my card.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to expose the flight plate as you throw uphill, and there's that OB that pinches that little sidewalk, so things get crazy. Everyone's going to take this hyzer gap, no nonsense, get as close as they can, and then throw, maybe a mid or a putter or something like that up to the green. I think yesterday this played as the second easiest hole.
It's same today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Paige took the straight gap.
Yeah,
she's going to get so far up there. Oh. Wow.
She was looking for an eagle. Gets 400 plus feet down the fairway. That is unbelievable. She threw it maybe a little lower than she wanted to. I think if she had the right height on it, it could have gotten all the way to the basket.
Yeah, I bet she's going for eagle there. That's crazy.
That was unbelievable.
I mean, it's like a pretty big gap, but also it's pretty easy to get the birdie without risking it. So, I don't know. And no fear.
No fear. And I mean, with how hard she's throwing it to get it all the way, the full distance of the hole, 576 feet, or at least give herself a putt, she's really having to throw it hard. And when you're throwing that hard at a narrow gap, that's always a little scary.
Mm-hmm. Everybody else just kind of pitching up those hyzers. The second shot's the real danger. You can see Jess using her Bushnell Range Finder to make her decision on her disc selection here.
The wind at this point was a left to right crosswind, maybe a little bit of a tail as well.
And that's well done. Mm-hmm. Bit of a tester, always a little scary when there's a hill behind the basket, but she played it really well.
Catrina slides it up the hill, inside the circle. 43% of the field with a birdie today.
Oh, wow.
Yep, one of the more gettable holes. Again, these first 6 are the ones that you really want to cushion the rest of your round with.
Hailey with her zone, leaving it just a tad short. Good shot, though.
Paige on the second stair step of the elevated pin.
Get it.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, the
crazy
easiest birdie in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing shot off the tee from Paige. Good conversion.
Yep, those feel like a major tester putt in this wind. So
absolutely.
The mental required to get the disc in the chains at that point is everything.
And you get a little bit of a confidence boost too, just getting one in the basket. I'm sure Catrina, she's a little low, a little high, right in the middle. That's kind of her move, it seems like.
She averaged it out, and now she'll just be deadly the rest of the round.
Yep. So everybody now under par, killing it in this front 9.
No surprise to see 4 for 4 birdies on this hole.
Hole 4 is a beautiful tunnel shot. Most people are going to be trying to go through this right gap, kind of maybe throw something straight or even flex it back into this secondary grove of trees where the basket sits. Yesterday we saw Catrina kind of go out and around and take all of the trees out of play, so that is a play. I think it's harder to get there for the birdie.
Today, the wind, I think, would not have made it possible.
Yeah, it was funneling just straight towards you through the trees.
Every time I say that about Catrina, though, she just does it and makes it look really easy. So we'll see what happens.
That was a good correction from Hailey. She hit the better gap today, but still ends up skipping into circle 2. But the wind was raging. I mean, just like, well, maybe it wasn't. I played about an hour earlier, so it looks a little calmer now.
It was when my card went through, and I was only a couple before this. I mean, you can't quite see in the tree branches, but you could definitely feel it. It was, if I remember correctly, still a tailwind. It's so weird out here. Oh, she's
doing it.
It's so weird out here because it'll switch really quickly. Very swirly on these hills at the golf course. She's way out to the right.
That's her H3 V2.
I think the wind was like crossing from right to left, which is why I thought she maybe wouldn't do it, because it would push the disc down the whole way and you wouldn't be able to get as much distance. It did push her disc maybe down a little bit, or maybe she hung it out a little wide right.
So many maybes.
Maybe. We're speculating so much.
I just think sometimes in the wind, the best thing to do is just ignore it and play how you normally would. Totally. Sometimes you play those maybe games and then just go crazy.
Maybe yourself into the dirt. Paige with a long jump putt. Look for birdie. That camera angle really highlights how big these
Here's
trees
the
are.
wind.
Yeah, there
it is. Look at her hair. We're not crazy. Ooh, floaty bid. Ooh, great effort from there. Good wind read, maybe.
I really do like her play there with because it really opens up the putting.
Yeah, I don't think... Ooh, yes. Little high right side. Catch is great.
Great hyzer putt from Jay Weese.
Always fun to watch her switch between the hyzer and anhyzer. She's so good at both. And Paige with a tiny tester after her birdie bid, no problem.
There was only 2 twos on the day. One we got to watch from Jessica, of course, and the other was from Missy Gannon.
Very nice.
Putting world champion. Wonder how long it was.
She could have parked it.
Mm-hmm. It's gettable. It is there, but that wind.
Yeah.
When I walk up to the tee, I have these game plans. I know where I want to land. I know the distance to the basket from those positions. I think I'm going to land in these same areas every single time, but you never know. I know how far I am. I know the height now. Having the Bushnell Range Finder, no matter where I land, gives me that extra level of confidence.
You've seen them in the hands of professionals, helping them compete at the highest level. Whale Sacks is a female-owned small business, handmade in the USA. We are dedicated to outstanding grip for all disc golfers.
Hole 5 is a par 4. It's 558 feet. There's this low ceiling tee shot. You can either go under this tree and pinch off to the left and kind of open your shot up to the basket a little bit more and not have to carry the OB as much, or you can go out wide right hyzer and have to go over the bunker with that out of bounds sidewalk right behind the basket. I think it makes the shot a lot tougher, but it's definitely the safer shot off the tee. Just looking to pinch left, early release, and gets a redirect on that inside tree, but she'll still be out wide, and I mean at that point I think she could still reach it.
Yeah, I mean she got good forward progress off the skip there, and that's not a bad angle from that right side to attack it, so it'll be interesting to see what she chooses. Hailey taking that tree totally out of play with a massive hyzer.
She'll be out wide. Is that just still right there?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. It only redirected. It didn't really take any of the distance off.
Yeah, that's just bounced right off and kept going. That's crazy. Paige looks like, oh, she's taking the straighter line, chops a pretty big chunk.
Yeah, of course,
of
maintenance.
The branch off. It looks like it took off a fair amount of speed, but I think they'll all have looks at getting up there for a birdie, but that green is so dangerous.
It is. The bunker's so close to the basket and the sidewalk's so close to the basket. You're just landing on a narrow strip of land, having to really gauge the angle your disc lands and with how much speed it lands.
So 300 feet left, and she's going forehand, which is a really smart play. It takes the bunker out of play for the most part, but it's a little harder to get it into the circle. Look at all those bounces.
Yes.
That was great ground action and trust, and she's maybe just inside the circle.
I think that's the smartest play here, or at least the least scary play. Maybe is the best way to say it. Paige, I mean, she's doing a smart play as well. She's just executing. Oh, I thought she was safe.
Man, that looked like a putter, too.
The wind, again, was kind of crazy out here. I saw a lot of air bounces on approaches to the screen. Maybe it got a little lift that we couldn't quite see.
Catrina going standstill putter. Not quite enough juice. So the bunkers obviously play as hazard, so she'll have to putt from right there, and we'll have a chance to save her par.
If you go out of bounds, on the sidewalk just past the basket, you can make an easy circle 4 putt to save your par. So it's maybe a little less scary to go for it the way that Hailey did. I mean, she'll have a tap in to still save her par.
What is circle 4?
Circle par.
Oh, circle par.
Like circle 3, you know.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Just inside the circle. Oh.
Leave us a comment. Do you say 4P or circle 4?
I'm from the South.
Yeah, it's definitely regional.
Paige to save her par. Oh, leaves it a little bit low.
So then this is for the lead. Yep. First lead change we've seen. Really good conversion.
From the bunker too, where it plays as hazard, so a little bit of an awkward stance in the sand. Converts no problem. Hailey doing the same.
Jessica just tapping in for a par. Paige for the bogey.
These are the holes that you want to get birdies on, and you definitely do not want to get bogeys on. So we know that's definitely in her head a little bit. One that she left out there and also made a little bit of a mistake on.
Sorry, hole 6 plays really similar to hole 1. You throw from an elevated tee, really wide open fairway until you get to this green, which is so dangerous. I think it's not really worth it to go for the birdie. It's perched on a hill. There's bunkers all around. There's an OB path. There's an OB green. It's a nightmare.
It's the most difficult hole of the day for the FPO field. It averaged as a full stroke over par plus some.
There is OB closer on the left than the right, so the right side is definitely the better play, but that is carrying too far. I think that tree might have saved her from going out of bounds, but that's going to be tricky even to get her par from there, I think.
It was a pretty strong right to left crosswind here, or left to right, sorry. So you can see that it carried Jessica's disc. She put a lot of height on it, and it carried her disc way right. Definitely something needed with a little bit more stability. Hailey does just that, finishes out into the middle of the fairway. She's got that shot dialed. We saw it on hole 1 already.
That looks like the same Zeus too, that purple one. It looks very stable. This looks like Cat's D2.
She keeps it low and nose down, doesn't let the wind play with it too much at all. Maybe she wanted a little more distance. She looked like she kind of wasn't super stoked with the release, but it got way down there still.
Yeah, I mean, probably from there she should play it for par, in my opinion, but it's definitely a much harder decision from where she landed. Unlike, Paige and Hailey getting way out there, I bet they go for it.
Paige playing the hyzer flip, really trusting her disc to do exactly what it's supposed to do in the air, and she gets so far down there.
472 feet.
Full flight of the disc.
I don't know if she'll ever stop surprising me.
No.
That's amazing.
Jess tucked away in the trees on the right-hand side of the fairway. She's playing it way out to the left, hoping to have just a straight shot into the green.
Yeah, that was really well done. Mm-hmm. It's still a scary, touchy little upshot from there, but she did a good job. You want to get as close to the bunker as you can without actually pushing it to make that upshot as easy as possible. And Catrina doing the smart play and just going for her par at this point. Not trying to be a hero.
There's a lot of holes where it's okay to try to be the hero, but this one is not the one.
Nah.
Like Erika was saying, there's so many risks you have to deal with.
Yeah, yesterday on the feature card, we didn't see anybody land safe when going for it on their second shot. And, I mean, here it is again. It's just so difficult.
Yeah, she'll be outside the circle in that hazard bunker, putting uphill.
I mean, this is an amazingly short look at it because Paige got so far off the tee, and she's choosing to go wide right and hyzer in. It looks good.
Still finds that out-of-bounds bunker deep of the basket. I mean, even with her being that close, look how small that landing area is. It's tiny.
So she'll have a chance to save her 4P.
There was only one birdie on the day. Congrats to Kona Panis.
Yeah, wow.
But over 75% of the field with a bogey or worse.
A little bit of a soft upshot from Jess there, but she's fine, 20 feet away.
This is one of the holes where maybe the par is a little off, but par doesn't really matter in the grand scheme. Hailey giving it a good bid to save her par. Catches the cage low.
At least it didn't roll too far and roll out of bounds and break hearts.
Sounds like that's from experience, too.
No, I actually parred this one today, and it's like, it feels so good to par it.
Paige giving it a hard bid, goes over the top of the basket. A little bit of a tester comeback, but no sweat off her back. She'll save the bogey.
2 bogeys in a row, though, and with Catrina taking the par, got a 2-stroke separating gap.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, I spoke too soon.
Oh, no.
Dang, I just assumed she had it. She's been putting really well.
You can see the flags in the background. It was a little bit of a headwind putt at an elevated basket, and that's always really hard to gauge the angle of release.
Dang.
You show that underside even a tiny bit, it will highlight your mistake.
So now they're tied again.
They're tied again.
Wow.
It happens so fast.
Look at that wind just mess with it immediately out of her hand as it wobbled.
Yeah, Jess is one of the players that does not put a whole lot of spin on her putt. It works when it's not windy, but whenever it does get windy, sometimes we see Jess struggle a little bit on the green, especially on elevated baskets.
Yeah, she doesn't really change her putt, and you can see how it messes with it. When it's windy, I'm a little bit more of a push
Spinny.
putter, and I have to spin it a lot more to have any kind of confidence. Man, that hole kind of eating our lead card up a little bit.
Definitely. But if there's one hole that's going to do it, it's that one. Or maybe this one. The second most difficult hole on the course.
Back to back.
Yeah, it's a par 5. It's 950 feet almost. You want to get to the right of that big tree. Pitch something over here just short of the water for your second shot, and then go across on your third shot, landing on this very scary, very small green with a bunker, a green, and an out-of-bounds sidewalk all around.
I think this is the most technical par 5 I've ever seen besides, there's one at Milo. I can't remember which side of the course. But usually when you see a par 5, it's kind of just long and open, and maybe there's some interesting things, but this has so many interesting things.
Everything is interesting the whole way.
I think
when I pulled out the caddy book and looked at the graphic for the hole, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The play here, I think, the best play is to try to push past this big tree that we see Jessica and Hailey both get tangled up in the branches. You want to get as far past as you can. There's also a route up the right side, but with these power players, they don't really need to bail out early. But since everyone's getting caught up in this tree, maybe they will take a peek at that right side.
Yeah, there's that kind of wall of trees. If you get stopped by that tree, it's like a really pinched sidearm or a dangerous anhyzer to try to get around. This looks great from Catrina. She did this exact same thing yesterday, and she's so far up that she'll have a pretty wide open gap on her second shot. Everybody else is going to be struggling with this tree, which is really, really common off the tee.
They'll really have to shorten where their second shot lands, which basically means you're instantly having to play for par. We might be able to see them try to carry over the water, but the green that's right on the other side of the water is so dangerous that it's almost not worth it to try to continue battling for the birdie.
Yeah, Paige having to take that right side, but it was pretty open. So she's actually in a good spot now.
Hailey lining up the sidearm. Doesn't look like she likes the right-hand gap.
And that looks great.
Looks wonderful. Wow, she gets...
Oh, stop.
No.
That sucks.
Wow, I can't believe how far she got down there with the sidearm. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, she had to throw it like at a 45-degree angle from where she was actually trying to go. So to get that much forward progress is amazing.
With the wind, too, that shot just blew my mind.
It's so unfortunate. She had an OB stroke on this hole yesterday, too, and I feel like she's doing what she's supposed to do and just catching those bad breaks. And that's where a strong mental game comes in. I mean, she still has a chance for the par, but geez, what a bummer.
Jess doing exactly what I said she wouldn't be able to do and going across on her third shot. She plays the skip off the green. She'll still be in circle 2 on the elevated pin, which makes for a tough birdie save, but what a great shot on her third
Yeah, and she picked a really big landing zone over there, not trying to get too greedy for the birdie, but now her par is going to be so easy. Whereas if you pitch up and then have to throw across the water for your par, it's
a tester.
Awful.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Especially in the wind. Paige also skips off the green. She'll be inside the circle with the look for birdie, even after getting tangled up early on her drive.
Yeah, very impressive. Do you even call it a scramble when it's for birdie?
Yeah.
Catrina leaving it just outside the circle for her birdie as well.
Hailey from 280 feet with an out-of-bounds stroke, so throwing 4. Not happy with it out of her hand, but she'll be in the little bailout zone on the left-hand side, just outside the circle. Just giving it maybe a soft Anheuser bid, maybe a layup. I can't quite tell.
I think she was going for it. I just think the Anheuser runs look a little different.
That's true. We're
they're
not used to
never
it.
online until they're in the basket, it feels like.
Mm-hmm. Hailey with her long look to save a par. You know, she's not happy with that. It was unfortunate to watch that just roll into the water.
Man, it's so hard to get all the way down here and have a look. Oh, wow. What a birdie.
From outside the circle on an elevated basket.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Let's see it one more time. But you get all the way down here, and then you have to put on an elevated basket after everything you've been through.
Oh, nerves of steel.
Yeah.
I mean, she just threw a hyzer putt in a crosswind and relied on it not raising. I mean, unbelievable. What a great putt.
Yeah. And let's see if Paige can answer a little bit closer.
There was only 2 birdies on the day. We got to watch one of them.
We got to watch both of them.
Huge birdies. I mean, and this is just the epitome of what a battle looks like at the top. You're birdieing the hardest holes on the course.
I mean,
and no one else
and
is.
They're playing the course, but I'm sure they're playing each other too. Like they know exactly where they are, and Catrina puts the pressure on, and Paige answers. It's just classic, wonderful disc golf.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, on the second hardest hole on the course, they're the only 2 players in the field to take birdies. Like, epic.
Unreal.
Hole 8 is a par 3. It's 342 feet uphill. Plays a little bit longer than 342 feet. There's a OB green over here on the left if you catch early branches high on these low ceiling shots. This is a kind of a dirt path, and your disc can very easily slide up if you have enough spin going into the green. No other trouble you really have to worry about.
A lot of these power players are going to take this hyzer route. Actually, Paige does go up the gap there. There's also a hyzer around the trees, which kind of, I don't know, it's easier to hit, but you have to rely on a skip uphill to get you into the circle, which you never know how it's actually going to skip. So
there's a lot of pine cones and roots and lumpy ground on the right-hand side.
Lumpy ground.
This
is an F7 roller from Catrina.
Ooh, that looks great.
Yeah, she has a good correction from yesterday where she ended up rolling down the hill. This actually goes long into some stuff.
Circle 2, deep. Wow.
Yeah, like 60 feet maybe?
Yeah.
55?
Maybe a little less than that. Yeah, But that was a great correction. Yesterday, she was way out in the flat on the right-hand side, not even up on the hill.
Man, I haven't seen the forehand play here, but Jess has so much power on her forehand that she skips up there really nice in the circle, too.
Yeah, she'll have a long look, and that's really that's all you want on this hole at minimum is that long look for birdie.
Yeah, it plays so much farther than 342. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to get it even close to the circle.
Hailey opting for the hyzer route maybe gets a little...
I mean, it came out on Anheuser, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I think
what happened.
It maybe was a misfire, but I mean, still gets close.
She's pin high. Mm-hmm. This isn't really one that you're thinking like, oh yeah, gimme birdie, or like, I'm definitely gonna get this one. You're just hoping to give yourself a clean look at it for birdie. Probably a long, clean look.
Mm-hmm. Hailey giving it a soft bid. She'll have a tap in for her par.
Whoa, Catrina.
Deep in the shoal.
Yeah. Where is she? Here she is.
She just opts to lay it up. That path being right behind the basket, it could definitely easily slide if you go blazing by it. Oh, no.
Trying to take the lead, comes up just an inch or two short.
We'll watch the lead card take a bunch of pars. Only 2 birdies on the day. Congrats to Kona Panis and my fellow hot goose, Erika Stinchcomb.
Honk, honk, everybody. Yeah, that one felt good.
That's a great birdie.
Thank you.
No score changes on this hole, but we have one more very long hole.
Very long hole.
Or we could see some birdies.
Yeah, our second par 5, 914 feet. You're trying to get as far up this hill as you can, and then just throw really hard again, and then throw pretty hard again. And there's a bunker. There's a couple of bunkers and a path past the pin, so the green is pretty dangerous. Catrina went roller yesterday to try to get to the top of the hill. The right side of the hill actually has less of a grade, so that's not a bad place to land because your second shot having to run up that hill, it's so hard to get good distance when you're dealing with that kind of footing.
The wind on this hole was definitely still present. From the tee pad, it felt like a tailwind. It felt like you could really just open up and let something flippy move way up the hill. But as you move up the fairway, this is probably the swirliest spot on the course.
Yeah, I literally threw up some grass that spiraled out of my hand.
It was so weird. I was trying to choose which disc to throw. I had a flippy disc in my hand, tailwind, and then all of a sudden it was a crosswind. And then as I started lining up my shot, it was a headwind. So I grabbed a stable disc. It switched back to a tail. It was weird.
The old juggle.
Yeah, it was weird out here. So, I mean, everyone's just trying to throw as hard as they can to get up there. But I watched understable discs, get huge air bounces and hyzer out. Most of these women are going to be throwing a little bit more overstable discs they can trust in this wind. But.
Yeah, Catrina had the roller, which landed about the same spot as yesterday. Jess she usually throws more understable discs, and that one just kind of burned over into the ground a little early. But she did have a flatter run up because she was a little short. So this is a pretty good second shot. Mm-hmm. Good correction.
Way up to the top of the hill.
You have to get pretty far, though, to be able to attack the green on your third shot. And Catrina going roller. She always impresses me with these.
Again, so cool that she can get that angle and the timing correctly while running up that steep of a hill and still have power on it. Can't quite tell how far she got down
I think
there.
she's way up there.
Yeah, she's on the flat for a while. I think she'll be able to reach the green for a birdie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paige with a little twinkle toe action before getting the extra power boost. And she's got to be so far up there, too.
Yeah, good distance. The right side, if you get too far over, there is one tree that can kind of get in your way and maybe force you to throw a forehand. So we'll just have to see what that looks like for her.
Hailey just to the left of the Mando tree on the right-hand side, using that little bit less steep grade that Erika was talking about on the right-hand side of the fairway.
Yeah, I saw a few people land there, the first day. So then I kind of tried to land on that right side because it's just a little bit easier to run up. And Hailey had a great shot there. Good trust from Jess on her disc to throw right at the bunker and just let it hyzer out.
She'll be outside circle too, but a very easy up and down for par.
And this is going to be, it looks like pretty max distance.
Oh, no.
To get all the way up there. It looks like it's going right.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely gets over on a little bit. You could tell right out of her hand it was a little bit of a late release.
Man, but she would have been pretty parked, I think. Maybe a little long. Had the exact right speed on it, just a little too wide.
Paige with this very pretty late flipping shot to inside the circle.
Gorgeous. And that's nice. She'll have an uphill run at it. If you land short of the pin, you have a little bit of that death putt with the rollaway possibilities, potentially into out of bounds. So that was beautifully played by Paige.
Catrina, borderline tap-in territory. No problem for her birdie.
Yeah. Good little floaty run from Jess, but she'll take the par, which feels pretty good on this hole. Hailey just outside the circle from the bunker, uphill. Not able to get the par. So that'll put her one over for the round.
Paige a little further away than I thought. Kind of a tester putt, but she's been making those for the last 3 weeks. We've watched her just be on fire inside the circle.
And this is a pressure putt for Catrina, but wow. What confidence.
The only birdie on the day, and while vying for the lead. I mean, unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing mental strength. And important, too, to be in the lead after that front 9 and have that confidence going into the second half of this course, which is the more difficult half.
We're not seeing as many birdies out here on the front 9 as we did yesterday, but it's all about just keeping those pars lining up in the wind. I mean, that is the most important thing when the course plays like this, is just minimizing your bogey strokes and not having to play crazy and be that hero.
We're definitely not going to see as hot of scores as we did yesterday. Everyone's kind of hovering around 1 under, 1 over for the round here.
You can see a lot more different colors today, a lot more errors happening. But I mean, that's to be expected when you're trying to gauge your discs. It's like flying kites. So we'll see Catrina take a little bit of a lead over Paige. Hailey struggling a little bit yesterday. We'll take a peek at the leaderboard before we go.
Sayananda and Ella Hansen killing it. 3 down through 11 holes. Super hot starts. You can see everybody else kind of in that even +1, +2 range.
I played with Ella and she looked super comfy out there in the wind. Like no problem at all. It was really fun to watch. Well, thank you guys for tuning into the front 9. Come back and hang out with us on the back 9. I'm Madison Walker.
I'm Erika Stinchcomb, and we are the 2 Hot Geeks.
Honk.